family. We're serious about this shit, regardless of I'm being a spiritual hype man or not. We're serious about this shit. So we're gonna take a 60-second break. For those who ain't serious, you can leave, no problem. Love you all. Appreciate you when you stay in here. For those who want to stay, stay. But we're gonna take a 60-second break to get into some sounds of nature and sounds of the universe, and we'll be right back to close out the show. We got about 12. I'll be so hyped after I do that, family. I come back. When I come back up, he's like, I gotta calm down for a second after I come back from that. I appreciate that sound.
Hey, Rich, tell us about the piece that's holding the mic while you.
Yo, Rod, I got this from a store. I don't know much, man. I got this from the store in Manhattan, and they weren't able to tell me much. But this statue right here, I get a certain vibe, a certain energy, a certain resonance. Let me just show y'all. So this is the whole statue. It was old when I got it, and they was like, yo, this is an old joint, whatever. And I'm just like, and they showed me a new joint. I'm like, nah, I want the old joint. There was just something about it. So I was doing an interview with A.A. Rashid, and we didn't have a mic stand. And A.A. was like, yo, use the statue for the mic stand. I was like, oh shit, that is incredible. So ever since then, I've been using it, and my interviews is better when I use the stand. I feel like I'm just more alive. I have more fun. So I want to thank the statue for just, assisting me. And, what I do right here, Rod.
Yeah, I was telling you earlier, she looked like she's slightly Cambodian.
Is it a sister? You said a sister. This looks like this is a dude. What do you think?
No, that's a female. Okay, you see the what they call the waistband?
Right. What? This right here.
Yep. Then you see the split down the middle?
Right there. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's how you know it's a skirt.
But dudes ain't wear that back in there? And then that?
No.
Ooh, okay.
That's a 100% female. Now remember, most of these priests is masquerading as women.
Somebody said no boobs. As an American man, the first thing I would think about is where the fuck the boobs at. Somebody said that. You know what I mean?
All women don't have big boobs. All women don't have big boobs.
Right.
But when you look at the earrings, the hairstyle is the beehive.
Yeah.
That's a woman all day long. And if I keep on looking to, I might even remember where she's from because it looked familiar.
Shit. Yeah, I know you be tapping in, Ron. Yo, Ron, you know what I want I want to get to a couple of questions from y'all before we get out here. So start putting questions in the chat. Rod, I'll be talking to you on the phone, brother, and we be talking about some topics, and we was talking about the tobacco. One of my new nicknames is Tobacco Rich.
I know that.
That's one of my. I gotta send you this, Rod. You gotta send me an address, a PO box or something. I got 100% pure tobacco from the curanderos, the shamans in Honduras. This is where Dr. Sabi's from. The dudes that cured Dr. Sabi, the curanderos, the tobacco they use to do their rituals. I got their tobacco in my possession. And when I tell you I used it, Rod, and when I tell you I had major breakthroughs, I mean, like, it made me realize, Rod, the weed we get out here ain't shit. And I'm not into weed that much. But all this shit, man, listen, I'm not even in the shrooms that much. But listen, the tobacco that for some reason, we hear about everything else. The shrooms, DMT, Bufo. We hear about all types of shit. Take Bufo, take DMT, take this. We never hear about, the Americans was into tobacco. We never hear that. We don't hear that shit. We hear about everything else, but we don't hear that. And when I got into this and I smoked this, I said, oh shit. This is some shit. I said, oh shit. Right, this is some. I mean, he was talking on the phone about the whole nicotine conspiracy, and all of that. But Rod, oh shit, man, brother, it is on and popping like never before. Give me and the reason why I bring this up is because number one, this I got a whole thing going on. I'm gonna make an announcement, a whole thing going on, but I'm not gonna talk about it tonight. A whole thing going on. Quick note: everybody who sent the donation for the tobacco, I sent everybody's cigar out today. So you should get it by Friday, Saturday. So if you're watching, you like, nigga, you saying that, but where my shit at? I sent everybody's out. You should get it by Friday or Saturday. You can email me if you didn't get it. But I sent everybody who sent me their address. I sent it out today, and you should get it by Friday or Saturday. But Rod, I was watching this joint on YouTube, like I said, with the white boys that go in Africa and they with these tribes. And one of the things the tribes do, all of them, I mean, these are like tribes. All they want to do is hunt. All they do is hunt, and they protect the woman, they protect their village, and they live a happy life, song, dance, all that. But one of the things they all do is engage in tobacco, not weed, not all this exotic shit. I took a mushroom from a tree. All of them, they into tobacco, bro. All the African tribes that I watch on these shows. So if we're talking about altered states, what is it about tobacco in altered states, Rod Hayes?
We've been using tobacco so long that it automatically has an allure to us.
Okay.
The problem with modern cigarettes from like Winston and Marlboro is the chemicals they put on it is designed to stifle the effects of the natural tobacco. When they tell you about the best cigars, where they tell you they're from, Rich?
Cuba.
Cuba got a certain environment, but that same environment is in Dominica, Haiti. They grow tobacco there too.
Yeah. Yep.
That same environment is in Jamaica. They grow tobacco there too. Right? The hardest tobacco to get is you have to hike up the mountains in Jamaica to get from the high shamans. They don't like to share it because of the medicinal values of it and the spiritual attuning values it have. It's hard to get. So a lot of the other shamans like Rastas settle for marijuana. But tobacco is ancient to us. We've been using it for spiritual purposes for so long that sometimes when you get real fresh, clean tobacco with no pesticides or herbicides on it, it can have the effect of immediately waking you up on the first puff.
Yeah.
You know, it's cultural, but the culture is tied to the connection between the environment, the land, and the communication of the land and the foliage with the people. I mean, you probably heard me say we sprang up like trees.
Yeah.
We originally came up like trees, but I say that for a reason, because the foliage, the health of the foliage tell you the health of the planet, right? Now you're seeing that they're starting to grow grass in the desert. That's a good sign. That's what they call the return of Oshun in the Orisha story. The deserts fade away and become lush vegetation. But when Oshun withholds her sweet waters, then the masculine energy create deserts trying to beat sweet water from a rock. That's where the term you can't get water from a rock. You can't get blood from a rock. You can make a rock sweat and get water from it, but you can't beat water out of a rock. You beat that rock all day long and you will just keep coming up with dust, right? It's making a desert. And the desert is the side effect of the rogue patriarchy and warfare and the disrespect of the divine feminine, right? The recognition of the divine feminine and the embracing brings about foliage that's going to tell you. It's communication with the vegetation and different. It's the same way if you eat fresh food from your own garden, you're going to be healthier than anything you get out the grocery store.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I see David said, can we still send donations? Yeah, next week, not right now. I'm getting packaging and everything together right now. So that first batch, they was lucky. They got that first batch out, but not right now. But next week I will give because I'm gonna use PayPal instead of Cash App. I'm gonna use PayPal instead of Cash App. So I have everything set up by next week. But family, this is absolutely. And I'm Rod. I'm gonna talk to you. I gotta send you one of these joints. And I seen Q. Shout out to Q Reeves in the audience. I gotta call you back, brother. You sent me the text. I gotta call you back about that and chop it up with you. Gotta make a few tweaks, but we're gonna definitely get a live going in before the month is over. But yeah, by next week I'll be popping David, and I'll let everybody know. Shout out to everybody. Somebody asked about it, shipping tobacco. Yeah, it's good. It's legal. I checked into all the legalities. It's legal. That's why I'm accepting it as donations, and I'm not, you can't send loose tobacco. I'm sending a cigar. You can send a cigar as a gift. People do it all the time. People do it for weddings, if they get married, if they have certain ceremonies. But as far as loose tobacco, they don't want you to mail loose tobacco in the mail. I'm not mailing loose tobacco. I'm just mailing a gift, a cigar gift. So that's perfectly legal. Perfectly legal. Just to let y'all know, perfectly legal to mail a loose cigar. But let's get to a couple of questions. Somebody said I could get it sent to. Yeah, you can get it sent to Toronto. You just got to pay the shipping. But like I said, next week I'll have all the information for y'all. I'm gonna set it up on PayPal. So whoever set it up, they was lucky. They got the first. Red Pill's actually coming over this weekend, Rod. Red Pill coming to my spot this weekend, and we're gonna get it in. We're gonna be tobacco chiefs this weekend. So shout out to Red Pill coming over this weekend, and we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna have a good time, man. But it's Rod, everybody who, before we get into these questions, we're talking about altered states of consciousness, Rod, and we're talking about creating a change in the world. Everybody who it seems who creates change in this world, Rod, they not sober, Rod. I'm just being honest. It's like I was honest earlier, Rod. You talking about what are you talking about? What's that called in San Francisco? Something Valley. What is called, family? Them people them computer dudes out in San Francisco. What they call?
Oh, Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley. They microdose all day. They microdosing all day. If you talk to some of the rappers, they're like, yo, I took ecstasy. I took this. I took that. That's what helped me tap in. You talk to the shamans, they're always taking something, Rod, before a ceremony. It could be a liquid. It could be tobacco. It could be somebody's always taking something. And then when it gets to the average person, they're like, nigga, don't take shit. And then the average person don't make no breakthrough. They're just always reading and studying. But the people who make the breakthroughs, Rod, is doing something. So talk to me about all these things that people are taking to make breakthroughs and change. Silicon Valley, the microdosing, and then the average person just think, I'm just going to meditate. And it seems as though the people who taking these things are experiencing more success, Rod. Let's just have a conversation real quick about that, my brother.
Well, I'm finna show you, this is a book.
Yeah.
See this book right here?
Hold up, Rod. Hold up.
Hold on. It's called Breaking Open the Head.
Okay.
And it's called Breaking Open the Head, a Psychedelic Journey into the Heart of Contemporary Shamanism.
Uh-huh.
We've been using aids. They call them, it's like assist tools, right? Because we become trained to be so rigid in our consciousness that anything psychic-like becomes blocked out. But when we relax that rigid stance, this is what substance help you do. Relax that rigid stance, opens the gateway of higher frequencies to come in.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of, like, for instance, the psilocybins give you a different access than, say, marijuana. And this is just changing your lockdown frequency to a liberating frequency. Everybody don't need, like, for instance, Elijah Muhammad wasn't into substance. Malcolm wasn't into substance.
Right.
But before he became awake, he indulged in it as recreation. When your intentions matter. When you use, whether it's marijuana, peyote, whether it's tobacco, your intentions matter. If you're using it with the intention of accessing higher states or altered states, you can use it. But if you don't know, if you're just having fun, then your psychic effects become bad trips. Right. And there's a lot of study that's been done. That's why I made the reference to that book. There's a lot of study that's been done because shamans have been using the substances of the earth from the beginning. That's not new. But the plants have a life. And in their lifetime, they collect information. Releasing the information, you can absorb the information depending on how you utilize the substance. Right. They got one of the most potent detox substances known to man is banned in America. It's called African LSD, aka Ibogaine. For people that's severely addicted to narcotics, it's the only substance that one use can cure a crackhead that's been a crackhead for 20 years.
Damn.
And it also it re-improves the brain structure because it goes back to what purpose did it have in the beginning. If you go back to Genesis, they didn't get kicked out because they started discussing philosophy. They got kicked out because they ate from a tree called knowledge. Right? But that still ain't the real reason they got kicked out. They got kicked out because they didn't want them to eat from another tree with all this knowledge called a tree of eternal life and be like one of them, the gods. These are plants. The tree of eternal life is a plant. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil is a plant. Right? It tells you to use the herb for that which it is good. That means for its intended purpose. The intended purpose of all of the tobacco types is generally to waken you up a little bit more on a day-to-day basis. You're not supposed to be addicted to nothing. Right? This is your vice lord. You're supposed to govern your vice. You don't let your vice govern you. Right? So once you become a vice lord, now you in Big Mama house, black and gold is your colors. Right? But you got to come either from the blue house or the red house. Right? Then you got to get flipped back and forth between the two to determine your character. Right? So all of these tools, it's just like a mechanic got a whole box of tools. Shaman's got a whole bag of herbs. They're not all the same. Sometimes I smoke roses with my herbs. Sometimes I smoke lavender.
Right.
Sometimes I put goldenrod in there. They all got different purposes. And they all do different stuff. Right? So you would know when I start smoking roses in the blunt because I can't help it. It just come out and I'll be like, I'm smoking buzzing roses. That's what I'm smoking. I can't help it. I can't help it because the rose and the weed together, that's the effect that it have on me. It's almost like a comical recognition than I'm smoking marijuana and roses. Right? But if I smoke marijuana mixed with lavender, oh, it's gonna be a good sleep night tonight. Right?
Lavender.
But right. So the different herbs do different stuff. We didn't just all smoke straight marijuana. Right? Or straight tobacco. We used to all smoke all kind of herbs. Right? They all got a different, the purpose of burning it is to release the energy that's trapped inside of the leaf. Right? Once the energy is released, you can absorb it and you can utilize it, access the mind of the plant.
Right.
Like I told you about when I took the mushroom trip and I had the magnificent light show and my man come in talking about, I'm psilocybin, the spirit of the mushroom, right? Yeah. So I was like, what the hell? I'm like, I'm tripping because I'm blinking like you can't really be the spirit of the mushroom.
Yeah.
And then he showed me all of this stuff about mushrooms I didn't know. And then I was sitting there skeptical as can be. And then it started coming across my feed, everything he told me. From the elk in the mushroom to the proboscis monkey in the mushroom to the psilocybins that lights up the dark cave as fluorescence, right? And I was like, damn, I didn't know none of that stuff before psilocybin told me. And then he like, and then he asked me, he's like, you know why I like the name psilocybin? I was like, no. He said, because it sounds like silly ass Cyrus. I'm like, I'm over here dying laughing, Rich, because he's giving me all of this stuff. But when I start really knowing that it was some real spill, is when my regular feed started showing me everything he told me on the trip. Right? Man. That means that whatever the psilocybin, because he said you can access the information of the psilocybin network. It's the same as the neural network if you have the love for the mushroom, the psilocybin. And one of my favorite things on my pizza is mushrooms. Always have been. I can eat a mushroom pizza with nothing but mushroom, cheese, and sauce. Right? So I always liked it mushrooms. I got this strong, like I can make a whole portobello mushroom steak sandwich with no meat, just with the lettuce, tomatoes, and the slice of cheese, and put some, mayonnaise on it, mustard, and give it the business. So it's already in me to like mushrooms. I already got a predisposition and a strong affection toward the mushroom. I just didn't know that the mushroom had this mind connection network that I could access by loving mushrooms until I went on had that trip. Hey, I don't like mushroom trips because I get cold. I don't like being cold.
Rod, I always hear when we talk about Kemen, I always hear about the Blue Lotus. So I'm glad this person asked this question. Shout out to the Sirius B113. Rod, what do you know about smoking or drinking Blue Lotus? What you ever did that, Rod?
I haven't in this lifetime, but the Blue Lotus is the sister of the Blue Lotus House, is what they used to call them. And it's an oracle sisterhood, a priestess that would drink the tea on a regular basis, and they would use it in all kind of confectionery and stuff. And they reverence the Blue Lotus. So it's got a strong connection in ancient Kemet among the sisters.
Oh, fire. All right. Let's get to another. Oh, you know what? Before I continue, because somebody had asked me, let's put the brother Rod Hayes CASHAPP. Hold up on the screen. I know a lot of y'all know it by now. Make sure y'all support. Somebody had asked about supporting the brother. Let me see. Listen, all right, so family, so we've been live for about almost 2 hours, And this brother right here, man, we got over 4,000 people in the chat. We got over 4. That's a lot of people to have on a Tuesday night at 11 o'clock talking about spirituality. There's not many. Think about it. We live in a whole globe. Billions, all these people. There's not many places where there's a group of 4,000 people gathered virtually to talk about spiritual topics. We are one of them. We are one of the rare groups all over the world, 4,000 deep, talking about spiritual topics. Support the man who's responsible. What, you know, this is my platform, but the brother Rod, he brings a certain energy to his show. So shout out to Rod. Make sure you support him. Show love to him on his Cash App. You can support him via Cash App, $, capital SIK, capital APE, SikApe. Show the brother love, man. This is rare. This don't take this for granted, family. This you ain't gonna see. There's a whole world full of people, and you won't see this on a Tuesday night. Over 4,000 people gathered. Show love for one of the brothers who's here tonight and doing what he does, man. All right. Rod, real quick, somebody wants to know, can you break down monatomic gold, Rod? What's the deal with the monatomic gold? I'll be seeing Billy and Blue Pill talk about that shit. What's the deal with the monatomic gold, Rod?
It helps the body operate at its highest capable efficiency levels. The monatomic gold, if you get it in its pure state, you won't even need food. You'll just need a sip of water, and you'll be able to literally activate your macabre and fly up out of here wherever you at.
Damn.
But you also have other monoatomic elements other than gold, like platinum, monoatomic silver, iridium, and the collective of them is just called ormus. Orbit, or it means orbitally rearranged molecular substance or something like that. But the priests of old used to use it to access the highest possible states of consciousness, and they used it to map the mind. But in modern times, we just now becoming reacquainted with it in probably the last 25 or 30 years, and some people it's even been less than that. You know, and because when it's in its monoatomic state, which is the single molecule state, it looks like what's that stuff called? Silica. It looks like silica under the microscope, right? But it has so many properties. It eliminates the entropy of the combustion in the cellular processing of energy, right? So it's like a balancing chemistry. The chemistry is to balance the where you burning so efficient that you have no entropy. And if you take away the entropy, you won't age no more. You take away the entropy, you won't have mental decline, physical decline. All that stuff goes away. And a lot of people believe that the monoatomic gold is the fountain of youth.
Rod,
or the philosopher's stone.
Rod, next question. Could you talk about burning ancestor money? What's your thoughts on that, brother?
That's a more like a tribal specialty, right? Where you can designate a dollar note as ancestral money to access the wealth that the ancestral line has, but that's not my area.
All right, next question. Rod, what does it mean to dream of free falling? However, not knowing what direction one is moving, not knowing if you're falling up, down, right, or left.
I never heard of nobody falling up.
Yeah.
Let that sink in. So look, when you're in the free fall state, you got to be sure you falling and not rising. Right? I put a post up a couple days ago on my Facebook. It say, be prepared to dive to the deepest depths if you want to rise to the highest heights. The training is the same. The same breath control, the same focus, the same concentration to dive to the bottom of a deep pool is the same to rise to the heights. It's just the only difference is you in the 3D and opposites matter.
Mm-hmm. Next question. Well, man, this chat moving. You got this chat moving fast, Ron. Can an Orisha choose you without being initiated?
They in your bloodline already. Not only are they in your bloodline, they codons on your DNA. All of the 7 Orisha are codons on the DNA. They just what you call so you imagine like you got T cells that command your white cells what to do in the body. The Orisha on the line that they own command the network of amino acids that make that DNA chain up. And there's 7 major sections to the helix. Mm-hmm. And each one is governed by a different Orisha. You don't even have to be melanated for them to call you forth.
Mm-hmm. Mm. All right, let's keep this thing moving, y'all. Peace of the planet. Can Tesla coils be used to raise consciousness and activate ancestral energy? Thanks for the super chat donation, TR.
You can do almost anything with a Tesla coil. Matter of fact, when I describe the divine feminine woman in her true nature, I call her a Tesla coil.
Ooh.
Because she's able to manipulate reality with the power of love and thought alone. But it's so many of us, and those are the women that normally had the hardest life, and people try the hardest to control them because they want that access to that frequency, but they don't want her to wake up to the selfish desires of their desire for that access. So they try to subjugate her and force her into performing, and she can't perform by force. She can only perform from a place of love and reciprocity. And this is why men are required to learn how to help a woman balance her emotions with her intellect. In other words, balance her feminine energy with his masculine energy. And then he can read, he can know, okay, she moving like this. That means it's going to rain in 3 days at 4 o'clock. She just know by the way she moving her energy, because her energy, she can be a walking oracle where you can read her like tarot cards, or she could be a walking disaster to tear your life apart because you don't want to do your part by learning your woman. And most of the guys don't know that it's just important as to learn your woman as to learn your favorite sport. It might be more important to learn your woman if you plan on having a happy life.
So the happy wife, happy life shit is real, huh?
Well, it's not just happy wife, happy life, right? It's happy means happy team. Because you're not going to be happy making her miserable, because she can't stay miserable while you happy, and you can't stay happy while she miserable. So by balancing the two, it's the teamwork. What makes the dream work is the weaving of the two together in a unit. And the man that's mastered that ability has that ability no matter what woman he with. And that's why the man that every woman wants is the man that every woman wants, because he's the natural at that ability to bring out the best in that woman. Because he understands the nature of the feminine and the power that he can wield. That's why they say behind every great man is a great woman. She don't have to do nothing. That's the crazy part. All she got to do is, if you can keep her in her divine feminine energy, stuff happens when you playing. You get to see through cracks in the game. You get to sew the game up, restructure the game, reset the game, all because you know how to read her energy. It's important. It didn't have nothing to do with preferential of the wife over the husband or the husband over the wife, because it's a team. You can't take the team aspect out of a functional relationship. Soon as somebody become a dictator, it's not a team no more. And that's why you end up with uncivil war fought in a civil warfare manner. That's why they call it domestic violence. It's uncivil civil warfare.
All right, let's keep this thing going. I'm trying to look for some good questions. I think I got one saved. Somebody wants to know, if you get dementia, do you lose your soul? I heard any? No. Okay.
So dementia is caused by plaque in the brain that blocks the firing of the synapses. And that's done through the diet. The diet and toxins is what causes Alzheimer's and dementia. That can't cause you to lose your soul. You can't lose your soul. But you can use when they say lose your mind, lose your soul, that means when you're doing something that is so out of character, that's not you no more. That's what the ancients call losing your soul. You've lost yourself in behaving outside of who you are. But you can't sell your soul. What they gonna do? Put it in the bag and take it with them?
But Rod, let's keep this thing going. Keep going. Rod, will we evolve into the physical where we would be to withstand temperature of space? This has to do to when you said you hate being cold. Do you understand that question?
There is, yeah. So they talking about the absolute zero of space where it's so cold that things instantly freeze.
Okay.
When you go into your Merkaba body, you generate enough heat where the external don't affect you like that. And we've evolved and devolved through that cycle many times throughout the eons of existence. And we'll get there again. We just won't be the day of tomorrows because it's a heavy amount of work, collective unison work required just for one of us to make it to that level of evolution. And the ones who are already at that level of evolution, they come and go as they please, and they don't participate in the affairs of mortals.
Keep this thing moving. New Diamond, shout out to New Diamond. She wants to know, what do you think will happen next now that the Pope has passed away?
It's hard to say. I don't really like trying to do predictions, but there's some characteristics to the fall of this empire. They're going to try to appoint a new Pope. That's going to go bad for some reason, but I don't know what's going to cause it. But the next Pope's supposed to be the last Pope, but really it's the Pope they just announced dead because he wasn't really the Pope, right? That was, which one they say just passed Benedict?
Francis, I think, right?
Francis. Right. Then the one right before him was Benedict. He was the Pope before the last Pope. Because the only way that the Pope can leave his position is through death. That's why they use old men, because it's a lifetime position. If you put one of them rotten SOBs in the Pope position for 50 years, they ran so much havoc on the world. So they always use old men because their lifespans are already pretty much expired. But it's going to be used as a catalyst for other things they want to justify accomplishing. But it don't mean that it's something that they wasn't going to try anyway. They just needed the opportunity or the excuse or the event to be announced so that they can tell you what the next wave of their plan is. But it don't matter what they plan. They lost. It's over. Eviction notice is served. They can come up and prop up as many of these cross-dressing popes as they want to. They're not going to take the place of the divine feminine.
Right.
Right? And the return of the ancient ones is at hand. We here.
Yes, sir.
And this is not our first rodeo. This is not the first time that we had to go through this. This is just the only time you remember because it's the time you're dealing with right now. Right? When you playing in the 2025 championship game, you don't give a damn about the 2024 championship game, especially when you're playing against a different team. Right? You know, that game already won. That's over with. This is where we at, because all of this charade game they playing, this galactic chess game they playing, games of the gods, board games, lodge games, they all expiring in real time. And as they all fall, they have to make these announcements, like the lizard bitch died, the trans-testicle pope died. All of those are what they call markers, just to mark where they at in the fall of the old system. Because all it is about changing the system into a new, more prosperous system, because somebody thought they could do it better than the ones who had been doing it for eons. So they had 6,000 years to prove themselves, and they failed. They was too focused on trying to turn men into women than trying to find peace and harmony and bring heaven back to earth.
Let's get to the next question, Rod. We're gonna do about 3 more before we get out here. We officially crossed the 2-hour mark. We still got 4,200 people in the building. Shout out to everybody who's you know, tapped into this information tonight. Rod, iStorm wants to know, can you talk about the Haiti Empire in America? I hope I'm saying that right. Is it Haiti or Haiti?
Haiti. So they are critical right now. Like, all eyes from the Americas, North, Central, and South, should be on Haiti. We need to be hoping that we see them experience prosperity and fast, because they the ones who've been economically in last place, and they gonna get the first payout on the turnaround, because the last gonna be made first. It's already written. And the first gonna be made last, meaning all of them leeches and blood suckers that thought they was at the top, they finna get kicked to the back of the bus. Right? We gonna put them on the caboose of the train, and then I hope I had a saboteur that while we moving the train real fast, that they disconnect their boxcar and leave their ass rolling in the opposite direction.
Oh shit!
But AT is important. The Haitian Revolution. This is what your divine insight was fighting for. This is what you got Orisha Stone, my chief of staff, Rising Phoenix. This is what they've been fighting for, to close out the Haitian Revolutionary Conjure, so that they could bring the prosperity back to the island.
Yep. That George Washington challenge connect with this too, because that he was part of that same oath to come and get rid of the that challenge ties into the blood oath to get rid of the princes on the land and make them pretty much wipe their memory out. Now let's bring my next question, and then we're gonna run. We got about 4 more clips to run. But why was it important to make us forget a lot of our stuff that we did, like divinations and
because they cut you off from your intrinsic ancestral power base. They take away your spirituality and replace it with religion that keeps you powerless, because you constantly put yourself in a sleep spell in the name of the Amun. It's a mandatory spell. Every time you saying it at the end of your prayers, you telling the known God to remain unknown. I mean, don't shine my light in the world. I want people to know I'm powerful. So it enhances the ego, but it subjugates the God's self. It's like putting shackles on a God, because can't nobody hold you down but you. Can't nobody hold me down. Oh no, you got to keep on moving. So when you look at the war structure, the goal is, when the close of the age come, all debts must be settled. All conjures must be closed, right? Everybody must be prepared to account for their right or their wrongdoing, because this is the great celestial payout for the karma that we accumulated over lifetimes. We call it generational traumas, generational curses, generational blessings, right? Because we all know a family, they ain't rich, but they don't never want for nothing. None of them in their family don't never want for nothing, but they ain't rich. They always stumble into the good jobs, without having to have all of the qualifications. It just lines up for them, right? That's because that's their generational path clear financially, right? Normally when you find people in poverty, that means that they the pauper gods. They waiting on the end to cash in. They don't know that heaven is on earth, but they about to find out. Before you run out, one elder. This one right here is about the paper genocide.
Okay.
Trying to tell victims of paper genocide to prove their ancestry with paperwork is like telling the murder victim to prove that he got murdered, even if you know who the perpetrator is.
Wow.
So they telling us we know about the paper genocide, right? But now the sister about to ask AI about the paper genocide. Somebody sent me this for a receipt too. And the AI is going to tell you how paper genocide works. The goal is to disassociate the people of the land from the land so that you can say they abandoned the land and you can assert salvage rights to the land to claim the land as your own, right? And it all plays out in the laws that they pass, the salvage laws, the squatters